I think it was 2 years ago tonight, was maybe the first time there was any inkling of this happening. I'm going to let them tell you the whole story, but I think the idea kind of was started here 2 years ago tonight. So tell us more about what you guys been doing for a while here.
All right, like you said, my name is Wyatt Crum. This is Roger Crum, my dad, and that's my son Jack. He's 14, and he's doing a little live video tonight. You guys have probably been seeing our social media stuff, so we're putting more out there. I was approached to talk up here, and I'm just going to make it up, so good luck. But I'm going to kind of walk you through everything. I'll have Roger speak a little bit on it too. But where did this all start? Well, in 1986, the year I was born, my dad bought that John Deere 400 snowmobile. It had 700 miles on it. He bought it from a guy in our town, and he had the option. He gave the other guy the option of 2 snowmobiles if he wanted the Panther or the John Deere. And the other guy picked the Panther, and we're happy about that because we got the better sled, we think. But we got this 400, and I grew up riding it. And it's never been repainted or anything, so I was pretty nice to it. I was actually a lot nicer to it than my dad was this week. But I rode the heck out of it, and that's where I learned how to ride, and it became a passion and a sickness, really. I've got lots of John Deere snowmobiles now, and I drag him along to shows and doing all sorts of stuff. And ever since I've gotten Jack involved, when he was 2, we were building that custom snow mower. We built a cutter to haul the kids around. I just love anything that's different and fun and whatever, and that's kind of where this ride falls into. I want Roger to pick that thing up right there and show us. I've heard that it's not an I-500 race without something bent. So Roger did it for us. That was him, not me. But Roger's fine. He's only got 13 stitches, and he kept going. But I'll talk a little more about that. But yeah, so it was a real I-500. Blowing wind, snow in your face, limited visibility, ice cold, negative 22 degrees starting out in the morning. We were wanting to run fast just because it was long and we wanted to get the day done. So we were pushing our sleds hard. The fastest I hit was 55, and so our average speed was around 35 to 40 miles an hour as we went. Back when we started talking about this, I'll let my dad talk about why.
I was traveling between Fargo and Minneapolis for a few medical issues, and every time I went back and forth, I got to thinking about when we went past St. Cloud area. I kept thinking, how did the I-500 guys get through that area? We go St. Cloud, all this freeway, and those different things. And coming back one time, my wife was driving because it was eye surgery, and I said, I think I'd like to add something to my bucket list. And she said, well, what would that be? And I said, I'd like to ride the route of the I-500. And she looked at me and she said, I think that'd be cool. If she hadn't said that, it might have been different. But as soon as we got home, I got to share it with Wyatt, and of course his, kind of that green disease that he has, he was all about it. We talked to people from Detroit Lakes area and kind of bounced things off of them to see what they thought of it, and they thought it was a pretty good deal. So we started working forward on that, and that's how it started out.
So we were here at the first time we were here 2 years ago at this ERX event, and I approached Jesse Battler. I found that he was the guy to talk to, and I said, hey, next year in 2021, we want to do this ride. I want to get this planned. I want to talk to you guys about riding in here and see if you guys would let us ride into your show. And he said, hold on, just wait 1 year longer. I said, why? That doesn't, I don't understand. He goes, well, let's do a little math. And we talked about 1972 with the beginning of John Deere. And I said, oh, okay, I see what you're getting at. So we held off for 1 year. Roger wasn't so excited because he was going to be another year older and have to do this when he's 67 instead of 66. But we pushed it off 1 year, and we are really glad we did. We can't believe how this all came together. There's a ton of luck and a ton of everything just falling into place. We have snow on the ground. If we would have done it last year, I told my dad he would have lost a year of his life anyways with all those bumps and crappy trails that we had last year. So we're glad for the snow that we had. Planning got rolling. I started a website. I wanted to put the word out there. I started it 1 year ago, and we were approached right away by a guy named Grant Nelson in Thief River Falls. He wrote a really nice piece. He's the news director at the radio, and that really helped get things rolling, and everybody started following along, and we started planning. I got a John Deere 400 snowmobile from John Deere buddy in Grand Forks, and I got a second one from Troy Mays from Canada, and I put the two together. My dad worked a lot of hours building my sled, and the idea was let's have two 400s so all the parts are the same. We can bring along one set of parts, it's easier to repair, and we know them. We can do anything to these sleds. So that made it really easy. So we built those sleds, and then so that piece of it was good, but then we wanted to do more with it. We saw people were really interested, and it was gaining some traction. So my dad brought up the idea that maybe we should tie in a benefit with this. So we decided to use whatever publicity we're getting to help benefit veterans. I'll let my dad talk why.
Well, I was in the Navy from 72 to 76. Any veterans out there, please stand. You guys deserve it. About the time that Brian Nelson was crossing the finish line in first place, I was over floating around on board destroyer escort over by the Philippines. So, of course, I wasn't in the news loop with what's going on with the snowmobile happenings at the time, but that's kind of a little piece of history there. So vets have always been, veterans have always been something special to me, and especially the Honor Guard. And in Fargo, they just put in a new veterans cemetery, and it's 5 acres, and federal government will not give them a building of any sorts until it's 100 acres. It's only 5 acres now, and it just started. So what the community is doing is they're going to build a site adjacent to that, and it's going to be a gathering space, so people travel many miles to be at their veterans funeral, that they would have some place to gather, and also for the Honor Guard to be able to do their thing there. They could keep their uniforms, there'd be bathrooms, there'd be parking lot and such. Right now, after they blow taps, they have 20 minutes to move out of the area. So this would be something to just walk across. So it's going to be big. That's why we went to the charity raffle, and the VFW in Castleton, North Dakota, just west of Fargo. They stepped up and they're the charity that we're using for the permit. So the charity raffle tickets are over there. We'll be around tomorrow, and that sled I put it together, but there's many people that gave parts to the sled itself. Thank you, Troy. And did painting, did sandblasting, did you name it, they did it. I assembled it. There it is.
I also got to thank, we got Ben Krings, Troy Mays, Joe Rainville, Brock Weber, all these guys from the John Deere community, just anytime we said we need this part, they send it free. And that sled was put together for way cheaper than anyone could ever put together a restored sled. And it's got some really special parts on it. 1 year only 1972 stuff. So it's going to be special when someone gets that. We're also giving away an unrestored John Deere, and I think I just found the owner of it that's interested in talking to me about it. So that's kind of cool, the original owner that had it. And we're giving that away, and we're giving away a bunch of other prizes. So the 9 prizes in all. And we're doing 3,000 tickets, $30,000. If we can raise $30,000 for these events, that would be really cool. So we got the raffle going. It was kind of a pain to get things set up with that, but we got it all going, and now we're selling tickets on our website, and we're good there. As far as our sleds, we rode them, we beat on them, and we said we need to do some things so we can get down the trail. I ride a lot of long distance motorcycle, so I wanted a twist throttle, and I did ride the entire ride with the twist throttle. I loved it. My dad tried a twist throttle and just about put a hole in our building. So that disappeared right away, and he went back to the thumb throttle, and he was fine with that. We added hand warmers, the Walbro carburetors. Some people love them. I do not. So we went to the Tillotson carburetor, and it ran great for us all the way. Some different clutching and stuff, but overall they're stock machines, and we just beat the heck out of them. They haven't been cleaned either, by the way. That's how they came back. As far as the planning goes, I knew that we couldn't do it in the same amount of time that the racers did. We just don't have that kind of stamina, and we didn't want to beat ourselves up that much. So I decided to spread out the days. I learned a lot of things. We could have done it differently, but we got started on Monday. We drove up to Canada. We had gotten all the stuff we needed to get into Canada. We had our vaccines and our cars and our tests and everything. It was stressful, but we had everything we needed, and that turned out to be the easiest part of the day. We had some bearing issues when we got to Roseau on the trailer. We had to check that out. We got across the border. We got up to Steinbach, and by the time we got done up there with those guys, I'll talk about that in a second, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we finally got going. So that's pretty late to pound out a bunch of miles. We started at the Enns Brothers dealership in Steinbach. Enns Brothers is special because Bobby Enns raced for John Deere for many years. And his family owned those dealerships up until recently. It was sold off to some investors. But he worked with us to get us in there and have us work off that dealership, so we've had a special to start from there. Steinbach is right on the outside of Winnipeg, so we didn't have to deal with all the inner city traffic. So we took off from there. Roger took off himself. We couldn't get our chase vehicle driver, Ivan, my brother-in-law, into Canada with us. So we left him behind in Roseau, ditched him at the hotel for the day, and I went and drove the pickup, and he rode the snowmobile. We found out quickly that the chase vehicle is very important, and it carries the gas that we need. So Roger went 40 miles and ran out of gas. He was in the middle of nowhere. They follow the hydro, which is a power line, and it doesn't intersect roads very often. So I had a really hard time finding him. I found him when a lady that I've now dubbed Sweet Caroline called me on the phone, and she said, "I have your dad." I said, "Well, I need to get him back. We like him, we probably want him back." So I met her in a nearby town that I could get to, and we went and pulled his sled off the trail. By the time we did that, it was dark, and we called it. We had to get across the border. It's not safe riding one person at dark. We learned a lot. Next day in Roseau, it was 22 below with a wind chill, and we started riding. We got a little bit of a slow start. We had a guy named Randy Adamson. He had a dealership for many years in Thief River Falls, Articats, and he helped us out so much. He just kind of popped out of the woodwork a week before our ride, and he got us a picture opportunity at Polaris, and we got to shake some hands there and hang out with Mike Katine. Then we cruised on, and we kept on going. He helped us down the trail, and he ended up organizing a tour at Articat. So we got to tour the Articat facility, which is interesting for me because I'm in manufacturing. So I love seeing that as well. We took a group of about 10 of us through there. We have been picking up riders along the way. Guy Goverud and his son George rode 71 Arctic Cat Panthers with it's the Hearth engine, big Hearth engine, 634 Hearth. He rode those darn sleds the whole way. They finished today. Those sleds beat the heck out of those guys. We were wearing those white bibs, theirs were black. They got beat up, and they were fixing constantly, but we would wait up for them and keep them going. We had another family that was there, Mindy and Dan and their 2 kids, and they joined us in Thief River Falls, and they made it the rest of the way. They rode in with us. So we became a pretty tight-knit group. We had different people joining us along the way. A good friend of mine, Howard from DL, helped us down the trail towards DL. I had another friend helping us out on the Vergus Loop, and then from there on, I didn't really have any help, but I went to the GPS. You might have seen I have a GPS mounted on the sled. We needed that. It was absolutely necessary and easy. We followed the trails, and we made it. So without that, we couldn't have done it. When we were in Vergus, I was pushing my dad pretty hard. We were riding hard at the beginning of the day. We were fresh. Let's get going. And we were riding through the trees and came around a corner, and Roger's sled started to tip on him. It tipped on its side and then hit a tree direct. So both of his skis bent like that. Actually, they were worse. That's bent down so I could ride it. And the bumper was dented in. Roger was fine, we thought. I rode the sled to Vergus. We put new skis on it, and we started going. We went 40 more miles after that to Fergus Falls, where we were having lunch, and he said, my arm kind of feels wet. It's funny. He knew it was sore, but so he opens it up, and he's got a big old gash. It wasn't good. So he went into the hospital, and my son Jack took over for the rest of the ride. That was 13 stitches later. Roger was back on his sled, and he rode with us the rest of the way. 115 miles the next day and 30 today. So it was awesome. Our sleds, Roger's going to finish his off tomorrow, he promised. He's got 10 more miles to put on to hit 500. And I need to put on 50 more to hit 500. But we're just about there. So it was one hell of a ride. We had a lot of fun doing it. And the outpouring of support from everyone is amazing. We didn't expect this. We were just going to ride our snowmobiles. So it's pretty cool. The event's up for grabs. Who wants to do it? You can run it. You can ride it. You can do everything. Just talk to me if you want to. I've had a lot of people saying, are you going to do this again? And my wife says, no. Not right now. My son wants to, but maybe we'll wait a while. Maybe not till I'm 67, but we'll wait a while. But if anyone else wants to do it, it's up for grabs. You want to say anything else?
Yes, I got 2 ladies in the group that I'd like to have come up here and let them, or just introduce them. And one is my wife, Bernice. Stand up here, okay. Bernice and Katie. They were, support that we couldn't have made through without. It's just unbelievable. A lot of times it was abandonment when we were in the shop. And other times it was, come on, I know you can do this. Let's get it done. How about this? They've been taking care of the raffle tickets and doing that portion of it. So if you had mailings going out with raffle tickets in it, they were key in that. So thank you much for doing that.
You're talking about kids being involved. I've got Jack's 14, my daughter Daphne's 11. They were both involved, and we've got one more on the way in May. So we're going to have a little baby boy John Deere rider. I might have to bid on that rocker back there. It looks pretty cool. So I appreciate you guys letting us talk and showing our sleds, and everybody for supporting us on this. It was really, really fun riding in here today. We had a blast. So thanks a lot.